Hello, everyone, and welcome to a glimpse inside my studio. Today, I'd like to very quickly go over some of the equipment that I have that I actually use when I'm doing perspectives. Now, a lot of the art supplies that you already have will probably be good enough. However, there are a few items that you may want to have in your arsenal just to be able to fully take advantage of the ease in which you want to draw your lines. So, I just want to start by saying that a lot of the equipment you don't even have to buy. This is not me recommending that you purchase any of these items. This is me just showing you some of the items that I actually have in my arsenal. The first thing I want to show you is this. This is actually a nice drawing board. It's an 18 by 24. They come in a variety of sizes. You could get them smaller and you could get them as large as 24 by 36. This one happens to be an 18 by 24. It has a really good surface. I tend to keep the plastic on it. That's just the way that I am. However, you can definitely remove that and work with it. I also like to have a cutting mat, an 18 by 24-inch cutting mat. And again, these also vary in sizes. You can get them from as small as 8 by 10, 9 by 12, 11 by 14, 12 by 16, 18 by 24, 24 by 36. I like these because they also have grid lines on them. So when I have smaller papers on there, I can actually extend my Verizon line off the sheet and still have a general idea of where approximately that would be. On a lot of the cutting mats, you also get some angles that could also prove to be very helpful for you. There's two sides to it. I should have showed you the 90-degree one as well. There's two sides to them, but they're pretty much the same thing. They're just in slightly different colors. It has numbers along the edges in centimeters and in inches. So depending on if you're able to relate to both measurements, there you have it. So let me remove this. Now, a lot of the surfaces that I work on is just mainly paper. I like to always keep a nice drawing pad. Uh, Nothing exceptional about this. I'm not going to brand anything or recommend you purchase from anywhere. Wherever you can get your equipment is fine. Try to be as economical as you can, depending on your budget. But then also try to sometimes buy the best that you can, again, depending on your budget. This is just 100 sheets of paper that you could actually use to draw smaller, of course, and sketch out. These pads do come in various different sizes. I like to also recommend newsprint paper, which is a very low quality pulp type of paper that's compressed and is very, very good for just idealizing and just getting some general ideas out. And what I also like to have is a nice large sketch pad. This one happens to be an 18 by 24 inch sketch pad that has 30 sheets of paper in it. And I use this a lot in my classes. But then sometimes what I'll do is, on occasion, I will cut down sheets of newsprint paper and carry them along with me. Now, I use this a lot because for some of these, like this size right here, it just covers the screen quite nicely. So when I'm drawing in a class setting or making an easy video, this would be a sheet that I would use that I already know where my borders are. These little ones I keep just as scraps, just to be able to idealize a few things. So that's my drawing surfaces. What I also like to have is a lot of rulers, different types, different sizes that actually do uh, different things. And I like to have the metal rulers because of the strong edges. I have a T-square that this one happens to be a 24 by 36. They do come in a variety of different sizes. They hug right along the edge of the drawing surface, to keep the rulers nice and straight. And then I also use like some of these plastic rulers. This is a tri ruler that has like three different sides, really a six, because each of the measurements is slightly different from centimeters to eighths to 24ths, 26s, and different sizes like that. Then I use a lot of these. These are just metal rulers again. This one happens to be an 18 inch. And then I also have a nice 6-inch that I tend to travel with a great deal in case I'm out and I see something that I really just want to get down really quickly and I need a ruler. I carry this in my drawing kit that I'll show you in a second. And then I also use a plastic ruler so I can see through it. It's transparent so I can see through to the other side. This one is just in inches and in centimeters. So I use this as well. And then I also have, let me move these out of the way. I also have a couple of these angle type rulers or measuring tools so that I can work my horizontal, vertical, my horizon lines, my vanishing points. You know, this helps me to be able to use this in conjunction with the T-square, which glides along the side of the drawing board. And then I can just measure off, you know, with more precise measurements, vertical lines, horizontal lines, lines that are going into the vanishing point. So these are very, very good to have as well. Now let's talk very quickly about, like, if you had to tack something down, like you see the papers moving. So I like to use a low tack tape just to tape down the edges so that this way I can secure it to the drawing board or to the surface or to a table to keep the paper from moving. Now some of the pencils that I use, let me start with these. These are two different types of mechanical pencils, not the style itself, but when I say two different types, because each of these mechanical pencils is holding a very different lead. And the one thing about mechanical pencils is not that the leads are hard to change, but I like to just have mechanical pencils dedicated to a specific lead type. These happen to be 0.5 in diameter and width or thickness, but the pencils themselves, the grades are different. This one is a 2B and this one is a 2H. So this one's darker and this one is lighter. And I try to keep the two different types of pens with the two different type sizes so I'll know which one is which. Once you get familiar with that, you'll be able to distinguish it for yourself as well. So along with the mechanical pencils, there's nothing that beats a good old-fashioned number 2 pencil. Then I have a 2H pencil, which is very similar to the mechanical pencils, except of course these are more standard pencil sizes. But I like to have the two different types because one is darker and one is lighter. And when I'm doing grid lines, I like to try to keep the grid lines when I'm not instructing, to keep them very, very light so they're easy to erase. But then on occasion, I have to do some demonstrations where I need much stronger pencils. So here you have a 2H that's chiseled, and this one is darker. These are the darker ones that I was just referring to. This one happens to be a 2B, 2B like pastel pencil. This one is a hard. This one is a 6B, which is very, very dark, and this one is a medium. Now, the one thing that I want to show you with the medium pencil, only because it happens to be attached to it, is this pencil extender. I find these to be very, very useful and cost efficient because if my pencil, let's say, got down to this size right here, I would still be able to attach this holder to it for ease of use. So this pencil is probably about this big and it's inside here because it could be a little hard and to control or to handle or pushes my hands a little too close. So this particular pencil, even though it's just a charcoal medium, but the pencil is short and I have it in an extender, and I just wanted to show you that piece of equipment. These two pencils here I just keep for, again, when I'm drawing, demonstrating, or even doing my own work and the lines become confusing, I will change colors slightly so that I can make a distinction between them or to see them more clearly to be able to draw in my structures or my people or depending on what it is that I'm actually drawing at the time. Now when it comes to erasers, there are a lot of different types. and I want to try to take you through them. But before I do that, let me show you these real fast, which are my sharpeners. It's always good to have a standard sharpener with you. Inside here is a little sharpener that actually comes out, but it's, you know, the little metal sharpener. This one happens to be for Prismacolor pencils, so it has a little bit of a bullet shape to it. But then I also have the sander, which is good for, you know, just scraping a quick point onto something. They have a bunch of them inside here. I very rarely use it, but I'm just showing you anyway. And then I also carry an X-Acto knife. Now the X-Acto knife is great for shaving points like this, but be very careful, of course. It's an X-Acto knife. It's very, very sharp. Oftentimes they come with a little guard. If you can have that, that's great too. But those are how I sharpen my pencils. Aside from, of course, I have a very nice electric pencil sharpener as well. Now when it comes to erasers, they're not all the same. So I want to try to take you through them. This one is a basic pearl eraser. Good for erasing, not great for when it comes to smudges. Because in using this eraser, you could get a lot of smudges in your work, which may not help, but block off some of the lines or make your painting or your drawing look very, very messy. But I'm showing you anyway because I do use it, but I just use it very cautiously and very lightly. This one is a kneaded eraser. Doesn't smudge very much, but it's malleable. It has the ability to get into smaller areas. You know, you can pinch it and shape it. And not only that, you could actually use it and roll it like this. You can just roll it on a surface to help pick up pencil lines or make your pencil lines lighter. So that's why I like a nice kneaded eraser. This one right here is what they call a dust-free eraser. What happens here is you can use this and it's not going to smudge your artwork, but it is going to leave a lot of crumbs behind. They come in a lot of different forms. You got the white pearl, you got the latex free skin latex that's also similar to this one right here. So these three, they don't really smudge your work. They pick up ink if you need it, not that we do sometimes, but you gotta hit it a little hard. But because they leave a lot of crumbs, I tend to keep this around to help sweep away instead of brushing away with my hand or even blowing, which could sometimes, you know, liquids or saliva could come out when you're blowing. I mean, I'm just saying, and it's your artwork. And sometimes when you're making all of these grid lines and going through all of this detail to make these perspective drawings, last thing you want is an eraser or any kind of liquid to smudge or ruin your work. So these are very, very good for that. But then I also think that this is very, very good to have as well. And then lastly, the thing that I like to have is a nice carry case that holds all of my equipment. And I also keep inside here some water soluble micron pens so that if I decide I want to go over my lines and make it permanent, you know, and then I could erase freely and easily, I'll use these micron pens after my drawing is completed. And before I erase all of the grid lines and everything, if I'm going to ink it, I'm going to ink it with something like this. I keep a lot of these things with me to just to have extra equipment. But I try to keep some of the mechanical pencils, my eraser stick inside here. And then I keep all the rest of my equipment inside the case itself. And then this just helps me to be able to travel and carry all the stuff that I need to carry. And it's compact, it closes up, fits neatly in my backpack. So I could have tons of equipment with me for any real use that I might have in an immediate situation. So that's about it for me and what I have as far as equipment goes. Again, I'm not recommending that you go and buy all of this stuff. There's probably a lot more equipment that you could get and use depending on if you want to wash it with watercolor. You might want to get some cakes and some watercolor brushes. But what I just wanted to show you was some of the basics of what I use and some of the things that I have in inside my studio and that I travel with when I go out on the road, or what I teach with. So that's about all I have today. I hope this was helpful. You can definitely research and see what others are using. And then maybe, like I said, you might already have a lot of this equipment if you're an artist and you've already accumulated a lot of supplies for just general drawing. So some of it you may already have. And as far as a wooden ruler, you could use that too. It's just that these are the things that, again, I like to use. So thank you very much for allowing me to show you some of the stuff that I have inside of my studio when it comes to being able to draw, and specifically drawing in perspectives. So have fun, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.